Alex van Tonder's debut novel, This One Time, is set in the reality world of instant orchestrated fame, with consequences that is seriously dark and terrifying. What happens if your dreams turn into a nightmare? And for main protagonist, Jacob Lynch, a.k.a. Brody Lomax, is about to find out. Alex joins us from our Cape Town studio. Alex, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Morning, Sam. Lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
For the benefit of our viewers, can you give us a brief synopsis of This One Time?
Sure. So the story is about a blogger, Jacob Lynch, and he creates this persona called Brody Lomax, which explodes and becomes this worldwide famous blogger, but in the lines of kind of Dan Bilzerian, the slut whisperer, this kind of macho, machismo male living the dream. And eventually this blogger persona becomes bigger than he does, and it takes over his life and kind of gets completely out of control. And he makes his living out of revenge porn, which is the genre of blogging where you kind of post pictures that have been sent to you by your ex-girlfriends. And eventually one of those women turns around and decides to take revenge on him, on the revenge porn blogger. So it plays a lot in this world of social media, of larger-than-life personalities online, of Instagram fame, of this desperate need to be kind of famous online and to make it online. And yeah, it's a kind of a modern-day take on Stephen King's Misery.
Yeah, I was about to touch on that because it's got those tones. I remember the movie Misery,
yes,
starring Kathy Bates,
yeah,
and that was really, really scary. What is it about horror, or this thriller idea of the helplessness, that attracted you to kind of use that as part of the premise for the book?
Well, I'm very, very inspired by the kind of horror side of how social media affects modern-day life, to be honest. I work in social media, I work in marketing, and I love reading horror stories, and Stephen King has been a big influence on me growing up. I also love the work of Gillian Flynn. You know, she wrote Gone Girl. And I wanted to tell the story that kind of opens up exploring this weird era that we live in, where everyone kind of wants to be famous and everyone is, in a way, experiencing what it's like to be a celebrity. You know, everyone knows what it's like to upload a photograph and wait for the likes. And I think Jacob, in this story, he really pushes it to an extreme, and it kind of goes horribly wrong for him. And I think that the Misery reference and Kathy Bates as a blueprint for the main female protagonist is kind of a guiding light in terms of the story reference, but what really does come through here is the irony that his great fate is also referenced. It's not even original. And a big theme in this book is how bloggers and people online and people who create these celebrity personas online often don't do it from anything original. They create it out of a little bit they found here on this website and that website there. And so his great downfall is also referenced from another really famous horror story, which is Misery in this instance. Yeah. And Alicia, who's the female who takes him down, who takes the woman who gets revenge on the revenge porn blogger, she is very much, she's got a lot of Kathy Bates in her, but she's got a lot of other women in her as well. She's got a lot of these girl bloggers that we see on the internet today in her as well. And she's got a lot of these kind of Instagram princesses in her as well. And yeah, she's kind of a hybrid of a whole bunch of female stereotypes, which you start to realize are the female stereotypes that Jacob's been putting on his blog for the last 5 years, that he's been perpetuating himself. So in a way, she's a monster that he himself has created through his misogynistic blog posts. And that's kind of all I'm going to say, because there are a few twists. I don't want to give too much away.
Let's talk about this reality you talk about very quickly, because you talk about being a marketer, but you're also a very well-known blogger who's turned author. When you talk about these realities that we create from images, what are you saying about the online world, this reality that our perception is our reality?
Yes, yeah. Well, I think the online world is such a fascinating world because you can literally create something by clicking post. You know, you can upload something in an instant and it goes from being nothing to something real, you know, and people, you can create a fictional company within a day by using websites and imagery and clever wording. And I mean, we really have to kind of start creating a little bit more responsibly, I think. And I think the story in This One Time, he just doesn't think through what he's creating, and he goes with the success. And I think the book explores what success is online. And if we look at how we define success online, it's through likes. So, you know, 1 million likes equals success. And if we look at people who are deemed successful online these days, it's the people with the most likes. And if you look at celebrities like Honey Boo Boo Child or the Duggars, Josh Duggar, you look at the Slut Whisperer, you look at Dan Bilzerian, these people they are successful in terms of they've got the following, they've got the audiences, they've got the likes, but you also kind of have to question whether they should be out there in the spotlight or whether they are role models. And I mean, I'm not passing judgment on them, but these are the questions that they ask, you know. And Jacob Lynch / Brody Lomax, while he himself isn't as bad, he isn't as much of a sort of dubious character as the persona he creates. I mean, he himself is a good guy, and this blogger asshole character that he creates is not the good guy.
For sure.
You have to ask whether there's a difference between them, if the world relates to the character he creates and the consequences of the character's actions are very, very real. So that's a question that I do want people to ask when they read it.
For
you
sure.
know, is perception real or reality real anymore? And how much... You know, when it comes to reality TV, how much of it is real and how much of it is scripted, and in
Alex,
the end, how much does that matter?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. That's Alex van Tonder talking to us from our Cape Town studio. She's just written her book. It's a debut novel. It's This One Time, and it looks at the world of reality and instant fame. Take a look at it and let us know what you think. It's Morning Live at SABC.co.za. We're taking an ad break. You don't get anywhere.